Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Curbside Chat. That's the video podcast series where we talk about the important things of the aftermarket of the people with the people who make it happen. So again, welcome. And before I start, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors for their continued support, who makes this type of events possible. So again, thank you very much for all of your support through 2021 and looking forward for your support also in 2022. So our host today, will be again our AIA chairman, Bob Jaworski. And without further ado, let's bring him in so he could introduce today's guest. Bob?
Good morning, JF, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. Our guest on today's episode is Élisabeth Lambert. Élisabeth is the Vice President and General Manager of Pièces d'Auto, Joliette in Joliette, Quebec. I am going to be chatting with Élisabeth today about her unique path to entrepreneurship, the importance of a clear vision, and an appetite for risk, and a willingness to make changes on the go. We'll also hear of some of the great work Élisabeth is doing with the AIA Canada Quebec division. Bonjour and good morning, Élisabeth. Welcome to Curbside Chat.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Very good. Well, let's jump right into it. First question. So how did you get into the aftermarket business?
Well, it's an interesting story because I got in a little bit by accident. I worked at this auto parts store when I was studying because my mother used to work there. So I knew the place, I knew the persons here. And when my mother retired, they obviously replaced her, but something happened to this person and had to leave. So I took the place. In my head, it was really temporary because it was an accounting job and I had made my studies in marketing. So it was kind of not so interesting for me, but I took the job and I really liked the company, the people that I knew, and the industry. So one thing led to another, more responsibilities, and here I am, 11 years later, owning part of the store and being really part of the company and loving it every day.
Well, that's a great story. So when you came back to Pièces d'Auto Joliette, you worked in a few different roles as accounting clerk, then controller. Can you tell us a little more about the progression of how you decided to eventually buy the business?
Well, I'm a really curious person. So when I started as an accounting clerk, I just wanted to see more and more and more. And so they gave me the function of controller so I could see more things. And then I wanted to get involved into marketing and to managing. So that's really why I got to wanting to get involved into really entrepreneurship as owning the business. And I saw almost all of the faces of the company. And I was really convinced that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of what we decide, where we're going, and I was convinced, really.
Well, congratulations on all your hard work.
Thank you.
My understanding is that Awake was your first experience with AIA Canada. How has that helped you in your career and entrepreneur journey?
Nadine Colette from Uniselect asked me to join her for an event during the Awake project. So it was really the first time that I was in touch with AIA, and that's when I really discovered everything, because I didn't know what AIA was really. I heard the name, but I didn't know, and it was really I got myself interested into what they were doing and kind of the structure of the AIA, and I really was interested by what they were doing with obviously the industry, but the students and as you know, this is really something that's important to try to find students to get into our industry because it's a really interesting industry. So that's really where I found my interest with AIA.
Well, it's nice to see the benefit of your work with Awake and specifically AIA, and it's great to be able to give back to the industry. You said there are challenges in the business. I know you and I talked about the current issues of part supply due to the pandemic. How are you adapting to this?
Well, changes are part of our life as entrepreneurs, but I think challenges are getting faster to us, even though there were always challenges. But now with all what's happened in the 2 last years, challenges are really happening fast, and you have to react. And I think that's really something that drives me every day to face those challenges, because it's really exciting not to know. Sometimes challenges are not as positive, but you get something always in the end when you take a look back. And challenges were really different 10 years ago than they are today, but that's the beauty of the thing. So you have like technology. Before, like 10 years ago when I got here, was technology that was getting into the company. Now it's really something different about employees, about supply chain. We have to face challenges. So it's really something that drives me to continue and to wake up every day and come here and just be happy and motivated.
Well, there's no question around change in the industry. I've had my 35 years, and I can say that
no doubt.
It's constantly changing. And your reference to part supply, an area that traditionally, is pretty stable. Lately, that's been first and foremost of discussion around our place of business, as I'm sure it is for most people in the aftermarket, and it's just having to adapt to those changes. So. So with your background in marketing, how has that helped you in your business operations?
It was really a nice challenge, an exciting challenge that I got when I got here, because everything was to do. I mean by that, we developed a logo for the company, and we really tried to get that image through all of the aspects of the company. So the employees are wearing something that represents the image of the company. The cars, the delivery cars, are also being branded, and we made major renovations here to our building and really put it up to date. And honestly, doing that through the years, even though it's hard to say the exact repercussions, it's really sending a message to everyone that we are moving forward, and we are alive, and we are there, and we are involved into our industry, our region, our business. And that's really something really nice that I had to do, and I'm really excited that I had to do that.
I would concur 100%. The image of, that you're portraying to your customers is so important. And, the marketing piece behind that sometimes gets taken for granted. But to me, it's certainly an important side of the business. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Beyond this, you've mentioned it's also important to invest in your people. Can you share with us what this means to you?
As an owner of a company or a manager of a company, I think that it's really important to give back into your community and to your everything that's locally around you. You have to be there. You have to take some time. For instance, I'm involved with AIA, the Quebec division, but I also go to Chamber of Commerce dinners and various other things. You have to be there and to get involved and to help others in AIA, for instance, it's student thing that we're going to schools, but it's important to take the time, even though we're really busy. I'm sure you are too. We are a really busy person, but it's important because we get so much from our community, from our industry, that it's important, I think, to give back some of all of this so that other people can benefit from it too.
Well, thank you very much, Élisabeth. I need to step in here. You earlier talked about the whole supply chain disruption. We know that finding parts right now is very, very challenging. I'd like to hear from both of you, Bob and Élisabeth. As business owners, you did not used to be involved, I guess, much in sourcing of parts, I guess. And is it fair to say that now you're both, as business owner, involved in finding parts for your customers? Is that a fair statement, Bob?
Yes, way more than I'd like it to be totally honest with you. But the reality is, if we don't have the parts, then our customers can't perform the work that's required. So it's all hands on deck to be able to source those parts, whether that be through our current relationship with our suppliers or finding whatever source we can. So I spend more time than I like, but I also value the time that I am spending in making sure that we're being able to provide that service. So.
All right. What about you, Élisabeth?
Well, I think the work is really different right now because the first thing we have to do is make sure that when clients are calling, we answer the phone and we can deliver the parts. So that's basic of the basic of the business. So yes, I have a buyer here who's working every day to get the parts that the clients need. And we are working on big bookings or things like that. But recently we have been working really hard to find specific things just to complete like holes that were in our stocks. So it's really time consuming. It's really different type of work, but it's challenging and it's interesting when you talk to the clients afterwards and they didn't feel that break in the supply chain. So that's really satisfying to know that we did our job correctly.
So what I hear from both of you is it's okay for a business owner today who normally has buyers that in the current environment, you basically have to step up and fill that gap to make sure you got the parts for your customers, I guess.
Well, I think in some cases, traditionally, you want the people that are responsible for doing the job,
Yeah.
and they can do a great job of it. But in some situations, because of the severity of it, you need to move up the ladder and find out direct source from some of the top people. So if you're going to get those answers, you need to deal with the people who are getting that information first, and that's generally the head people of the companies that we deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we like the answer or not, at least we've got an answer.
So Élisabeth, it's really that relationship you talked about with your suppliers and the new suppliers to be able to fill that gap.
Yes, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to say that people here do not make the job. That's not just to say also as Bob, but I think as business owners, we have to just be there and react to whatever happens every day. So if we have to get involved into supply, that's what we are going to do. And but honestly, we are working with so many different suppliers now just to make sure that we have the right thing and at the right time. So it's part of our reality today. And also, I think might be different considering whether you have a big or a small business. I have one store to manage, so it's probably different than someone who has 5, 6, 7, 8 stores. So my reality is that right now.
Élisabeth, I also want to ask you a bit more. You talked about your relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. You said, I've been involved with the Chamber of Commerce. And do you think it really helped? Give me an example of something that may have, because I don't think it happens overnight, I guess. You got to be there and be consistently present. Is that a fair statement to make? How did that work for you?
Our involvement with the Chamber of Commerce is quite recent. Maybe 2 or 3 years. And you go to those dinners and you talk to people, and most of the time you don't really know what to expect out of this. But people talk to other people, and your name gets through others, and sometimes it just gets out of nowhere, and you get a new client, or you get a new maybe sometimes a new supplier too. So I think we must not underestimate our involvement with those kind of events, and those things in our industry, in our community, is very important. We have to be there. They have to see our face. They have to talk to us. It's really important.
That's right. Great. Nicely said, Élisabeth. We talk about the people, the importance. I'm suspecting, Élisabeth, that it's a challenging time for yourself and your customers to find good employees, to retain employees. You want to share with us a bit of that dynamics? How is it playing out for you right now?
I'm really lucky. I have a really good team, great people, great. Honestly, I cannot complain. But I see clients who are struggling because sometimes people are retiring, and they have to fill and get a new employee, and it's really difficult. And I think that part of that, yes, there is a lack of people available for work, but I think we have to be really there near the students, near the people, to tell them that we are there. We have great challenges, great opportunities for them. And I think that maybe some years back, we didn't do that really well. So we have to be there and do the job.
Great, thank you. I'm looking at the chat line. One comment from one of attendees, Yvan Domingue, says, very proud to be able to be working with you, Élisabeth, and some very positive feedback from the community for your engagement. I understand that you've been involved with AIA in the community, and that really shows. So thank you very much. There is one last thing that we've prepared for you, Élisabeth, and that's our rapid fire questions. So let's give it back to Bob to do these rapid fire questions, which obviously you have not heard or did not read prior.
I'm ready.
So, Élisabeth, we have 5 questions.
Okay.
So tell us the first thing that comes to mind, and you have a total of 2 minutes to answer all the questions. So,
okay.
Question number 1, make and model of your first car.
Honda Accord 1991.
Okay, good memory. What is the one common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. It's going to be hard. That we exist, basically, because when I say I'm working in an auto parts store, people do not really know what we're doing, honestly. Just let them know they exist and that we are really important in their lives, basically.
Very true. If you could instantly learn or improve any skill, what would it be?
I think I'm starting to get more into buying. My partner is really doing the same right now, but over the few next years, I will have to learn this and to really get into this. And I think that's the thing that's my biggest challenge right now.
Okay. And our 4th question, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
Just go on. Just go on. I have met students who have told me, I want to do that. Well, go ahead. You have to start. You're not going to start at the top of the ladder, but basically, if you want to do it, go ahead. There's place for you, that's for sure.
All righty, our final question. What is the best personal or professional development book that you've ever read?
Wow, I'm not a big reader, honestly. I went to university. I did the reading that I had to do, but I'm really someone who will watch things like watch interviews or So I'm not like a big reader, so I don't know. I don't remember. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say something that's not true.
You and I both.
Bob, before we close, we did get one more question that came from the audience, and it comes from Danica at the Automotive Business School of Canada, Georgian College, and she's asking about students in the automotive business programs looking for co-op placement, and maybe a question's for both of you. But do you think there's opportunities for co-op placement of these students are looking to get a career in the aftermarket? Élisabeth, do you have these opportunities in your own business?
Well, we're doing it. I have a young counterperson who's here. She started like that. And she's not part of the team. So yes, we are doing it. We're a small business, so it's limited. The things are limited, but still we're offering it. And I'm sure there is plenty of places that are doing that too.
Well, Bob, back to you for the closing statement.
Well, Élisabeth, merci beaucoup. And thank you for taking the time to join us here today on Curbside Chat. It's been a pleasure chatting with you and learning about your journey in the aftermarket. To our attendees, thanks for tuning in today. But the show is not quite over, though. So, JF, back to you.
So this is our last Curbside Chat for 2021. I want to thank you again for joining us through the year. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. And obviously, until next time, well, take care. So, bravo! That went well. Good job.